I'm on the road from 7A to 8A in a single year. Behind me is one of the potential 8As. It's quite a long endurance route. It's very hard for me. So it could take several weeks or even months before I'm able to send it. So I asked you guys, what would you like to see? And most of you said, we want to see a training video. You wanted to see how I prepare for this 8A. So real quick, a little bit of a background on me. I'm mostly a boulderer, but about a year ago, they found out that I have osteoarthritis in both of my hips. I have a limited range of motion, and unfortunately, it is starting to hurt as well. I was told that sport climbing would be healthier for my hips compared to bouldering, so I'm trying to make the switch. As a result, I noticed there's a lot of things I'm terrible at: clipping, endurance, fear of falling. So these are all things I try to work on this year. So my training in January and February wasn't really specific. I started mostly doing a lot of aerobic climbing, so up and down easy routes using some rope solo techniques. And I also did some kettlebells for climbers, which was a workout from the power company. I really enjoyed the workout, and since I've been doing it, my shoulders haven't been nagging me anymore, which used to be a big problem. I also focused on my fear of falling, and I managed to send my first 7B around that same time. Oh my God. Yes! First 7B! Yes! After this, I started working on sport climbing tactics, and I also doubled down on the aerobic endurance training. I found a gym with an auto belay, and I would spend 20 minutes just climbing up and down easier routes, trying to get a little bit of aerobic endurance. I also experimented with different shaking techniques. I wanted to know if I need to shake often or long, if I should climb fast or slow, and I noticed it really depends on the route, so I'm glad I got that information in my head in a very short time. Around this time, I also started my new favorite exercise, which is feet on the ground campus board laddering. It's the most boring exercise I've ever done, but I really feel it's super helpful. I think out of all the aerobic exercises, this is the one that is the best because it allows me to really dial in the right intensity. The downside is that you're not doing any climbing movements. It's just pure physical training. Around this time, I also sent my first 7C. Come on! Oh, come on! Clipping, block. Yes! So in March I was feeling pretty good. I managed to climb my first 7C in 4 months, and I still had plenty of time to do the 8A. Still, I was feeling a little bit burnt out from going to the crag every weekend, which is about 9 hours of driving there and back. So I was getting quite tired. In March I decided to take it a little bit easier, and I also did a Lattice assessment to see what my strengths and weaknesses are. I also sat down with my coach to get a more holistic and integral view and not just finger strength. Let's look at my strengths first. I'm strong in the body, which allows me to make really big moves. I'm also very analytical, and I enjoy the problem-solving process. So that's a really big help when you're trying to climb above your limit. Finally, I think I noticed that my biggest strength is that I'm privileged enough to go to the crag and climb on real rock several times a month. I'm quite disciplined, and I will do whatever training plan that is set out for me, but it's the privilege that allows me to actually follow through. Let's talk weaknesses. My biggest weakness is the half crimp. I'm just terrible at that position. Every time I need to half crimp or even full crimp, I power out in a matter of seconds, and also my max strength is quite low. As you can see in this table, there's a really big difference between my open hand and my half crimp strength. It's a problem, but thanks to Lattice, we managed to solve it. There are some other things I need to be careful with as well. The fact that I'm analytical is a big plus, but it can also be a weakness. I tend to overthink and overanalyze. At some point, you just need to make a decision and go. I think my biggest weakness, however, is my hip impairment. I have trouble getting my feet up, and getting my feet to the side is even harder for me. I can barely get them to 80 degrees. So as a result, I'm terrible at climbing frontally. I will always turn in. Usually that helps, usually that works, but every now and then it makes the moves a lot harder because it's something I need to work around. Finally, despite working on endurance this whole year, my endurance is still terrible. I guess it's something that takes years to develop. Either that or I'm just terrible at it. So let's look at the Lattice training. They looked at my assessment and they made me a hangboard training plan that was perfect for my needs. I started in June, and earlier this year I actually tweaked the finger once or twice because I'm not used to the half crimp position. They gave me a lot of exercises on the hangboard, mostly revolving around 7-3 repeaters and density hangs. But by doing these exercises, I really noticed that I'm getting more comfortable in this position, and I'm getting a lot stronger too. If you look at the amazing improvement that I made in just 8 weeks, it's mind-blowing. I really didn't expect to get that much stronger in such a short time.
Oh, fuck, Amir.
What the fuck? Here's the problem though. Despite the fact that I'm stronger, I'm having trouble translating it to actual climbing. The body position in the half crimp is just a little bit different compared to the open hand position, and as a result I noticed that every time I half crimp, all my weight is on my hands and I'm not carrying my weight on my feet anymore. Another thing that happens is that I tend to over grip because my body still thinks that I'm weak in this position, and as a result I'm giving 100% where I could probably also give 70. So I need a little bit of time to get adjusted to the fact that I'm now really strong in this position, and once I'm able to, I'm sure it will make a huge difference. These 8 weeks were a lot of fun, but they were also very tiring. I was getting exercises for the hangboard, I was getting some exercises for the antagonist muscles, and of course I have a whole bunch of exercises that I need to do for my hips. As a result, the 8 weeks on one side really felt like a training montage. I felt like I was in some kind of Rocky movie. But on the other side, I was tired night and day. I didn't have the energy to do anything other than working, climbing or training. And although that was fun to do for a few weeks, towards the end I was feeling a little bit burnt out. What's worse, as soon as I finished the 8 weeks, I got a little bit of an injury and I couldn't continue with the last 4. Finally, there's one more thing that I would like to say. I measure my finger strength every 2 weeks, and as you can see during the training, my finger strength actually went down. And this is something that I think many people need to realize. Once you start training, your performance will usually go down. It's tiring to train. It's not until you finish it and recover that your finger strength goes up and your performance goes up. So keep that in mind. Getting stronger has everything to do with recovering from training. A good diet will make a huge difference. Unfortunately, my diet is absolutely terrible. I tend to eat a lot of junk food. This year, I try to improve my habits, but I have some mixed results with that. I did start taking some supplements and maybe that did make a difference. I started taking a protein bar after every training to make sure I get enough protein to actually recover. But I also tried some other stuff. I tried creatine, I tried beta-alanine, and I tried HMB. Now these 3 supplements will help you recover faster or have a little bit more of endurance. To be honest, I'm not sure if it made any difference at all. However, if you look at the huge gains I've made, I think it's safe to say they probably helped. Finally, I would also drink beet juice before any red pointing attempt because there's some science saying that could also help you a little bit with endurance. The first time I tried it, I really didn't like the taste at all, but I already bought a couple of dozen liters, so I had to get going. I'm slowly working my way through my fridge. After I stopped with the Lattice hangboard training, I also stopped with the creatine and the HMB, but I continued with the beta-alanine. The beta-alanine is supposed to help you with endurance, which is something that I really need to work on. Oh, and I'm also still drinking some beet juice because I want to free up some space in my fridge. So this year I worked on my mental skills, I worked on tactics, and now I feel like I'm physically strong as well, so I have all the ingredients I need to send the 8A. One of the potential routes is this route behind me. It's an epic cave route in Belgium, 60 degrees overhanging, lots of big moves, and it's very powerful and tiring. I'm not sure if I'll be able to send it, but it's one of the ones that I will definitely try. I'm currently working on the route and trying to train specifically for this route as well. Mainly by recreating it when I'm bouldering at my home gym, by doing boulders that are similar to this style and trying to do them many times in a row. I also started doing lots of 50-degree kilterboarding, which I think helps me keep my feet on the wall. So the route in Belgium, glucose, is very tiring, and my belayer, Willem, he had a really good exercise. He told me to do some steep climbing on the kilterboard and then alternate that with some compound exercises. So today I will do on the minute, and on the first minute I will do a kilterboard problem, and then on the next minute I will do some deadlifts, then on the third minute I will do the kilterboard problem again, and then have a little bit of a rest. I will do this many times in a row, and hopefully this will prepare my body to give a full body effort and perform well even on the steep, because it's very tiring on the whole body. There. Takes about 20 seconds to do, which gives me 40 seconds of rest. That's a 2-to-1 work to rest ratio. Time for the deadlift. I actually have a whole bunch of exercises I need to do for physiotherapy because of my hips. So this combines it really well. Deadlifts with kilterboarding or some of the other exercises. 20 seconds, again, 2-to-1 work to rest ratio. Back to the kilterboard. It's a really good whole body experience. Okay, that was the first set. I'm not too tired yet, but I will do this many, many times in a row. I will do Romanian deadlifts, I will do stiff leg deadlifts, I might do some shoulder exercises. Yeah, it's gonna be a long day, but it's really useful. I was making really good progress on glucose, but on my last attempt I injured my lumbrical, so it's time for plan B. I'm going to Spain in December. That will be my last chance to succeed this challenge and climb an 8A this year. Routes there tend to be very long, and my aerobic endurance is terrible. But I have a plan. Today, I'm calculating my critical force. Critical force is the maximum amount of force that I can exert for an extended period of time. This amount of force is also perfect for training aerobic endurance. I will be doing 7-3 repeaters until failure 3 times. The first time I will be doing it at 80% of my max. The second time at 60 and the third time at 50. Every time I have to go until failure, so today will be absolute hell. No pain, no gain. And once I've done these 3 sets of repeaters, at least I can calculate my critical force, which will then help me train my aerobic endurance. 7-3 repeaters at 60%. I removed 10 kilos using a pulley system. Let's go. No. Fuck. I feel awful. 30 minutes rest, then 1 more attempt at 50%, minus 22 kilos. So let me crunch the numbers real quick using the calculator at strengthclimbing.com. Looks like my critical force is a bit on the low side as expected, but now that I have this number, I know how to prepare, I know how to train my aerobic endurance. So I crunched the numbers, and now that I know my critical force, I can train my aerobic endurance specifically. I contacted Strength Climbing and he gave me a really nice protocol. I will be doing something that he calls an endurance pyramid. The endurance pyramids are similar to a lot of protocols for running. The whole time I will be doing 7-3 repeaters at exactly the critical force. If done correctly, my body will adapt and learn to recover in just 1 minute. Oh man. Okay, I'm halfway. It's continuously quite pumpy, as expected, but it's manageable. And it's boring, but at the same time, it's kind of like running. You do get into a flow. Over time, I will try to increase the intensity a little bit. And if I can then still finish the workout, it means that my critical force went up. I will be doing this 3 times a week. And the whole workout takes 45 minutes every time. So it's quite a big investment, but this is my last desperate attempt at increasing my aerobic endurance. Let's hope it works. Wish me luck.